the whiteboard, the thought here is as you're having a discussion with the kids, if you just note a word or something, it helps in a lot of different ways. You've got the visual learners and the audio learners. It helps us all process and absorb the information. So you could just put some words up during this discussion. In these questions is our notes from the video, because that was fast to help you. So what is empathy? You can ask him this, and then there's a definition from the video in here: an active attempt to take another person's perspective. There are going to be a lot of different answers here. What kinds of things can you do to be empathic? Did I say that right? It's always difficult. Okay, good. So we have the 3 from the video: be observant, use active listening, and open up. And of course, this is a brainstorming, so it's great to hear all the ideas they come up with. Why is it important? Can you show empathy in text? Snapchat, and I have to ask, did I write that right? I've never used Snapchat or seen it. Did I put that correctly? Okay, good. And, you know, there are positives and negatives. I think the answers to that could be yes and no, right? So they can explore the thoughts there. And then when is empathy the hardest? Again, you may have time restrictions. You have something going on in the classroom. Maybe your introduction went a little longer than you thought. You don't have to use all these questions whenever there's questions in here. It's a discussion aid, and it's up to you as to which ones are working best. And the related ABC book here, if you want to reference it, is How Do I Stand in Your Shoes? And again, there's more information in the appendix.
Can I ask a question about the Snapchat reference? Yeah. Is there a motivation behind putting that in there?
There was input into this lesson that we might want to find some opportunities to address cyberbullying.
Because Snapchat does let you send pictures, videos. So it's more visual and there's more signals versus just text.
Yeah.
I feel like kids might get rat-holed into it saying, oh, of course you can show some empathy in Snapchat. Unless, and if you wanted to open a discussion, maybe, yeah. But
well, maybe
the point of asking the question here seems to suggest, no, you can't show empathy. And I think the kids will go in and say, of course you can. What are you talking about?
Right? Well, isn't that a great discussion?
That's a
Actually, my thought in putting that was yes and no. Yes, you can communicate in a way to show empathy. How would you do that? And no, you might not.
Right. Or how's your message landing? Like I'm constantly putting emojis in my texts because texts are so dry. So I'll use either a laughing face or a sad or a please hands because I'm trying to generate something besides that plain text. Because so quickly those texts can sound like how the person's reading them based on how their day's going. So I do think that that's probably going to be the best part of the conversation in there, is their relatedness to their peers and others via these new forms of media. This is the new world.
I think adding an example here might be a better idea. Like what you want to, like when you send a text, the person reading it is not able to understand your tone. So maybe giving an example of some text that can be interpreted in happy mood as well as like.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Be a fun game.
You could also just write why were emojis created. That it addresses just that very issue.
But I think part of this though is it's a little superficial again, the online connection with someone. And if you're really trying to be empathic with somebody, you might want to follow through with an actual conversation. You know, if your friend said something about they lost their pet or, you know, and it comes across online and you're putting I'm sad face, but you know, follow up, maybe following it up with, you know, a hug the next day or tell me more about it, you know, goes way beyond just the one quick connection you make online. So I think it's probably like a follow through that we want the kids to get to.
That's a really good point, actually, because I think sometimes what happens is you go, oh, I checked the box.
Yeah.
Done with that feeling. Like even me, you just reminded me I need to check in with a friend who last night her brother went to the hospital with some issue we're, you know, all doing our thing, like, oh my gosh, okay, keep me posted. But really, I don't want to burden her with right? My job is then, or my love, my compassion, which is empathy in action, is to now reach out. With a live conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
I would add one thing, Jill, I just want you to know, like, you know how I'm always saying there's drama at Marshall Lane? So I followed my kids on Snapchat. That's the only way I know about Snapchat, okay? There's all this drama going on, and then I noticed a couple of the kids went on Snapchat, put a cute little picture, but if you read the note, they say, don't follow so-and-so. They're starting to bully each other on Snapchat. So it's not just pictures. Even pictures say 1,000 words, right? So it's such an important tool. That's why I always bring it up at even elementary and here, the online component, because it's such a powerful tool. And the parents, most of the time, including me, are oblivious to it. They don't know what's going on. I start hearing about the drama, and because of that, I know what the little messages mean on Snapchat, and it's unbelievable some of the
Maybe you should that could be a fun little add-on learning thing. Teach parents about Snapchat and what you're really saying.
Let me ask you guys this, and I hear what you're saying. Is there a better question to ask here, do you think? Is there a different way that would... We're not going to address all the world's woes of cyberbullying with one question that may or may not be asked during the lesson. But if there was something that we could ask that might have a little aha, is there... I'm hearing that rephrasing.
You can generalize and use social media as a substitute, because I think most kids might have Facebook than they would have Snapchat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe just add on text, Snapchat, Instagram.
Yeah,
Or is it
maybe
I think
Other-
social
Or is
media
it talking to
is
someone
good.
one-on-one
Social
as a
media.
person personally, or rather than just sending a text or any kind of electronic
kind of-
media?
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
it better to talk to someone about how they are feeling, one-on-one or face-to-face, rather than just
Right.
sending a few words?
Okay,
But at the
great.
end of
Let's
the day,
move
I
on
don't
then.
think
Last
there's
comment,
any
and
way
then
to
let's
get
move
them off
on.
of social media. So I think it's a good question to at least open their eyes and say, hey, there is a way to show empathy. Don't just be mean, right? There is a way to show it.
Okay, so we're gonna move on from empathy now,
Sorry
unless
about
there's more questions.
Sorry, so instead of asking, can you show empathy in text, can we just say, how do you show empathy when you see something on social media?
Yeah, how might you? Maybe to get them thinking. Sure.
And I think, do write down that key point, though, I think that Anna Maria brought up, which is yes and. So yes, you can do something, but that actual connection is something that we're losing. So so you're keeping the question, you're just changing it to social media?
Yeah.
Question D. Okay, viewers at home. Question D.
All right. Done with empathy? Done empathizing.
Done with
people.
empathy. I'm done with it.
All right. This last activity is all about listening. Okay. It's to practice active listening as a skill of being empathic. Truly listening to someone requires us to quiet our inner dialogue and focus solely on that person so we can understand what they are experiencing and attempt to take their perspective. So you can introduce the topic that they're going to practice, and this was an attempt at humor. Tell me if it comes across or not. Use it or don't use it at your discretion. Today we're going to practice one major way that we interact with each other. And I bet you wish your parents did it more with you. Listening. Listening is a skill that's essential to developing caring relationships. It's a skill we use every day, but we seldom work to improve. There's a note for 8th grade here, for those of you in 8th grade, to relate this to things that they are doing in school. So you have a chance to practice listening to presenters in class or during your 8th grade exhibition. Body language says a lot about listening, your eyes, your posture, your focus on your presenter. So they will be doing some presenting in class, something for them to think about. So the first thing you're gonna get at is what gets in the way of listening. So you could ask, again, you could have somebody come up, or you could write on the whiteboard, how do you know when somebody's not listening? What are they doing that gets in the way? Underactive. Yeah.
Wait, I gotta get that on video.
What else gets in the way of listening?
No eye contact, you're doing something else.
Outside noises.
Yeah. Distractions. Okay. So have them brainstorm. What are all these things that gets in the way of listening? You know, you'll get all sorts of stuff. I got bananas in my ears or whatever. Have fun with it. So then you're going to practice something called active listening, and you want to give them all the instructions before they start. So you can have them divide into pairs, and they're going to sit facing each other. And I'll warn you guys, I've done this many, many times, and so has Ana Maria with adults, and it is difficult. It's purposely difficult. It's purposely uncomfortable. So have them sit and knees sort of touching. They may or may not want to get near each other, but so they're, you know, they would position themselves. So they would be right near each other, okay? And then you're going to give them the instructions that there's going to be 2 rounds. On the first round, one of you is going to be the talker, and one of you is going to be the listener. And the talker is going to talk about